Happy Friday, everybody, and welcome back to our Feed the Soul Summit. Today is day 3 of the summit, and it's a little bit of a different day, something we haven't done before. We're going to do some live coaching session for the next 3 hours. So the last 2 days, we really had some panel discussion and conversation with experts and leaders in the field of athlete development. And now it's about seeing in practice how coaches work with athletes, specifically in transition or with their mental resilience. So my name is Miriam Glaze. I'm the founder of Athlete Soul. And if you don't know about the organization, we are a nonprofit organization which support athletes as they transition away from sport, raise awareness about the challenges of athletic retirement, and also encourage athletes to develop beyond sport. You can find more information on our website at athletesoul.org. Quick note about the event today. It's being recorded. We will share the recording with all participants as well as on our website and social media channels. And today, different to the other 2 days, if you participated yesterday and the day before, we will have time to take questions. We want to debrief the session, the live coaching session. So you're welcome to ask questions, during the conversation. You can do that either in the chat or in the Q&A box. I will record your question and ask them to Erika. So we're going to start with Erika Fay, who I have known for a few years now, who's been part of the founding members of Athlete Soul, who's been with us from the beginning. She is a transition coach for Athlete Soul and contribute immensely to our mission and our events, and is always willing to support. She will tell you a little bit about herself in a minute. In the meantime, I want to explain a little bit how the next 50 minutes are going to work out. So Erika and Zaya are going to go through a live coaching session for about 25 to 30 minutes. And and Erika will really do this the way she usually does it with her clients. So you'll get to witness that and how it works. And then I will come back on and we will debrief that process, and she'll be able to explain to us why she does things a certain way, what's her philosophy, her program, but also how does it impact her client, and how has it impacted Zaya in that process. So very interactive morning, and should be pretty exciting to watch. We have Andrew who's ready for the next session, but we're going to turn off your video, Andrew,
okay,
if you don't mind, because you're going to be working with Dominic during the next hours. Sorry about that. So Erika, I'm going to pass it on to you to introduce yourself, and then I will be coming back in 25 or 30 minutes. Okay?
Awesome. Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Miriam. Well, hello, everybody. My name is Erika Fay, as Miriam said, and I'm thrilled to be here and so grateful for this opportunity to really showcase what it's like to receive coaching and the structure of support. So just a little bit of background on me without going too far into the weeds. I have been a licensed marriage and family therapist for over 20 years. So I'm going to date myself a little. In my private practice as a marriage and family therapist, I started to see that there was a gap as I was working with professional athletes and their spouses in couples therapy. I was starting to notice that there was a gap between the services that they were accessing on their way out of sport, or sometimes that they even were aware of that they had access to. And the transition just seemed like, for most people, it was pretty difficult. I played water polo in college and kind of transitioned myself into continuing on with endurance sports. So I had an easier time transitioning, directing some energy into some other athletic endeavor. And I knew that there was no option for me to go pro. So my experience around the transition was very, very different than what I was seeing in my marriage and family therapy practice. And so that sparked me to become a coach. And I started to get really excited and curious about ways that I can support athletes in not only feeling inspired and on purpose and performing at their very best while they're currently competing, but also in having a plan for after sports and really easing the transition away from sports. So that's one of the reasons Miriam and I got connected, and I'm so thrilled to be here. And so now I'm fully coaching clients and supporting athletes in not only the mental side of the game or the mental side of the performance, but also just really supporting them in living on purpose and empowering them to live from a space that feels really meaningful and life-giving to them. So you're going to kind of see how that all works in a few minutes. But that's a bit about me, and probably enough. So I'm here with Zaya today, who is one of my clients, and I'm so grateful that you're here, Zaya. And maybe, Zaya, do you want to just say like who you are, what you do, where you are, and then we can kind of go from there?
I am Zaya Brookside. I am a professional wrestler currently living in England, in the UK. And I've been wrestling for 6.5 years now, and I'm only 23.
Yeah. Yeah. So you really got into it really early on. And obviously I know your background. So, well, why don't we hop in and then, people can ask questions and maybe write down questions throughout our time together if they have questions about what we're doing. But you and I will just kind of hop into one of our regular coaching sessions. And so sounds good. Awesome. So one of the ways that we always do this is we generate state. So I'm going to invite you to get your body into a comfortable position and just allow your eyes to gently close. And just tune into the breath for a moment. Breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth like you're blowing through a straw. And continuing to breathe in this way, just being reminded that we are in sacred space. By means of our investment in your life, your vision, your growth. We are just reverent about the time that we have together right now. And let's tune now our thinking energy to gratitude and something that you're proud of, so that we can generate an energetic state of feeling grateful and feeling successful. So just allow your thoughts to turn to gratitude and something that you're proud of. And really allow the energy of the feeling of gratitude and success to just flow over you and through you. And whenever you're ready, I invite you to take one more big deep breath with your eyes closed. And whenever you're ready to do so, go ahead and flutter your eyes open. And I'd love if you can share your gratitude and your success so that we can celebrate them together.
So my gratitude and my proud of today are the same, and it's this experience. I'm grateful for the opportunity to showcase what life coaching can really do for you. And I'm proud of myself for making myself vulnerable.
Yeah. Good for you. Yay, Zaya. I know. This was stepping out of the comfort zone a little bit. So definitely celebrating you for that. Awesome. So generally speaking, on our normal kind of cadence of calls, we've got, kind of a curriculum that we're following. And we've been studying the mental faculties, and we've been focused over the last couple of weeks on the imagination. And we're now moving into the intuition, the study of the intuition and how that relates to your life. And so, just wanting to check in with you at this point. So bringing to mind the vision that you've created for your life, and for the purposes of really grounding the energy around your vision and kind of relating that to the intuition. I would love it if you could share. You could either share in all 4 quadrants: time and money, freedom, health, vocation, and relationships, or you can just do like a snapshot image and go ahead and share that. And so speak it, as you know, we speak in the present tense as if everything's worked out, as if you are already living this life. And then I'll kind of bridge it over to the intuition. So tell me a little bit about the life that you're living, Zaya.
So I am living in America, in Florida, with my husband, Joel, and we live in a large gray modern home with a wraparound balcony. There is a fountain kind of on this long driveway that leads right to the porch of our house. And there's a big double garage on the right-hand side where I have my Jeep Wrangler Sport in white. Our house has 5 bedrooms. So we're planning on having 2 children. And we have our 2 dogs, but we also have it's a kennel-free rescue in our home. So for all of the dogs that would be euthanized or they're seen as too old or stressed to rehome, we rehabilitate them and they get to run free with us. And then they get rehomed, or they can just retire and stay with us. And I'm also a professional wrestler on the main roster for Raw and SmackDown for the WWE. And I only have to work 2 to 3 days a week. I'm so happy and grateful now. This is my life.
Love it. And so it is. So as you're speaking that vision, what do you notice about how it feels in your body?
It's empowering. Like, I think it's so easy. Up until now, it was so easy to get caught up in the day-to-day of living and being so focused on one goal that you didn't feel like you could look ahead to your future, and you couldn't plan ahead because that would take away from now. Whereas when you have this vision in mind, it gives you more adrenaline, it gives you more happiness and freedom and fire to actually get there. So it amps you up every day. It makes you believe in yourself and believe in your dreams.
Okay. So with your vision, because I heard you say, like, it gives you energy, it amps you up, it helps you to believe in yourself and your dreams. Tell me a little bit about, what you are practicing over the past week, because I know we spoke last week in our other coaching call. So tell me a little bit about what you've been focusing on with regard to your vision and the work that you've been kind of working on since our call, since we have life work between each of our calls. So what are you focused on for this week?
So right now I'm focused on doing an hour a day between 10 and 11, and I've done it every day since our last coaching call. And
Awesome.
In that hour, I just do self-development. So I'll sit in a meditation and I'll ask, what action steps can I take today to move me further towards my vision? And I'll just drops in, which connects the intuition. And then I'll sit and I literally wrote myself a letter from me to me, and it's my vision. So I read it every day and I sit with the pictures and I just sit there and think about it and generate the feelings of how I feel in the vision. And then I journal and write down what I'm grateful for and who I'm going to be that day. And then I'll do half an hour of reading, but it'll be like a self-development book to help connect more to myself.
And I know we've talked a little bit about the to-be's. Did you set your to-be's this morning?
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing what your to-be is today?
Inspiring, grateful, and a person of increase.
Awesome. And so, as you see yourself being inspiring, being grateful, and being a person of increase, in your vision, you mentioned, having the rescue on site at your home for these dogs. And so I just want to ask you, is that in alignment with the you in your vision, the to-be's that you set today, is that in alignment with the woman who is living that life?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And I think that's powerful because we have the opportunity, as you know, in the midst of circumstances that may not look exactly like the vision, we have the opportunity to practice being the person in the vision now. And by means of that, we become that match to the vision. And we're attracting, like you said, your intuition can generate some ideas for you and some action steps for you. And so just out of curiosity, over the last couple of days, were there any other action steps that dropped in for you by means of your 1 hour personal development?
Yeah, I had a couple. So the first one was meditate and journal. That's one that always seems to pop in for me because it is sometimes easy to go, oh, I'll skip the meditation today, or I'll do it later. And then you just kind of push it back. So that's something that always drops in for me. No, sit down, do it now. It's only 5-10 minutes. And then another two were cutting promos. As a wrestler, it's something that we have to do a lot. So get to know who you are, who your character is, who you want to be, and new wrestling gear.
Nice.
So I got to get
So what?
I've got to get designing.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so you're designing your own.
Yeah.
Awesome. So let me back up a little bit, because obviously the meditation and it is something that you're doing and you're committed to doing that. And I heard you say you've done that every day since our last call. So the action step, what was the second thing you said? It just fell up right out of my mind. Promos. Yes. So what would be a baby step that you could take in that direction? Is there something that you can do within the next 24 to 48 hours that can support you in developing promo?
Yeah, it's just, I felt for me that having that thought in the back of my mind, like I'll go about my day, but ideas will be dropping into me. So it's just writing them down and then sitting with them and like making it bigger. So instead of it being one line, making it 10 lines.
Okay. And because I know your character in WWE right now is in a little bit of you're transitioning a little bit. Yes. So is this type of promo development, are you having to kind of exercise different thinking strategies?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I've been wrestling for 6.5 years. So for 6.5 years, I've been the good guy. So all of these promo ideas that come into my head are inspiring, in like, just they make people want to be good and they make people want to like me. And that's the opposite of what I need to do now. So it's opening like this new creative stream of how to make people not like you. And so many people say to me that they're like, it's easy to make people not like you. It's harder to make them like you. And I'm like, yeah, but not when you've been doing it for so long.
Yeah. Well, and I'm obviously biased, but I think you're a pretty likable person. So, so what are some ways that can you share any like ideas that are dropping in for you around that, and like what your experience is? Because I know we kind of talked about that transition, a couple sessions ago, but like, how are you finding that type of like, let me start to generate ideas about how people don't like me or can't like me or won't like me versus, I'm the good guy. So like, what is that experience like for you?
So for me, I get a lot of my ideas from real people or movies and stuff like that. So my bad guy character is a spoiled brat that always gets her own way, and she's daddy's little angel. My dad's also wrestling and has been for 40 years today. So it's generating those ideas. So it's more like people watching for me. And like when you're out shopping, like seeing how a kid acts when they're told no. So it's kind of just like opening your mind, living in the moment, and being able to just kind of watch and see the world around you.
Well, I think that's a really interesting and great strategy, because you're right. Like our life curriculum has lots to offer in terms of different feedback loops and mechanisms, and the observation is interesting. And so that's really sounds like it's a great way to generate ideas around that. And are you finding that, because we just got done, I know we're not really done with the study of imagination, but when we're working with the mental faculty of imagination, obviously there's a lot of creativity that goes along with that mental faculty. And are you finding that your imagination is able to kind of flow, and are you able to generate ideas for your promo?
I'm definitely getting a lot better at that now, because I used to shut that out because I was all too like, oh, well, what will people think, and will people judge this and judge that? And I've noticed in this transition of going from a good guy to a bad guy, like I feel like I have more freedom, because it doesn't matter if they don't like it, because that's the point.
Well, that's a good way to see it.
So there's less like tension inside. Like I feel a lot more open, and there's so many avenues for me to explore and grow, and I feel like it's going to help me grow as a person, because I'm so much more confident now than when we started a year and a half ago. And it's thanks to this work that I'm more confident. So I'm excited to see where that's going to go with this.
Awesome. Well, and to bring it back to to your vision again. So like you're living in America, you have the dream home, you're working the amount of hours you want to work, you are on the main roster, Raw or SmackDown, you have the rescue, you're married to Joel. With your vision, when we're working with the intuition, I think obviously the intuition can support us in generating action steps and things like that. But is there anything that you're noticing in terms of an old thinking pattern or a paradigm that you kind of are brushing up against right now as you are bridging the gap between the life that you have now and the vision that you've designed?
Yeah. So we've all been told that you've got to work for money.
Mm-hmm.
And that I feel is how a lot of people are raised. The money doesn't grow on trees. You got to work all these hours. And like, that's something that has been in the back of my mind up until now.
Okay. So since that's a paradigm that's showing up for you, let's see if we can do a really quick recalibration exercise. And I'm watching the time, and then I'll bring this in for a landing. But would you be up for the recalibration?
Yeah.
Okay. So I heard you say that there's a paradigm around money and how it's generated. You've got to work for money. Like you kind of, and what I'm hearing is like lots of hours. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. So how is that showing up for you in your life? Knowing that that's kind of the thinking pattern, how is that showing up for you in terms of the decisions you've made up until now?
Like thinking about, oh, we can't get that because of this, and this bill's going out, so we can't do that until we get the next paycheck, and that kind of thing.
Okay. Okay. So kind of that paycheck to paycheck type of decision making. Okay. And you've also taken on another job, yes?
Yeah.
Over the last, yeah. So that's another way that it's manifested itself. Like not only am I a professional wrestler, but I'm also working another job. Yes. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to just invite you now to connect to your vision. I'm just going to invite you to close your eyes and just breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth like you're blowing through a straw. Just take a couple rounds of breath like that for a moment. And feeling the energy of your vision. And the woman who has the time freedom and is generating the income that she loves. If you feel comfortable sharing, what's the why for the freedom in time and money? What's your why for the freedom in time and money from the you and your vision?
To support and provide for my family.
And as the woman who is supporting and providing for her family in a way that feels really good to her, she's spending the time, she's the freedom and flow in her finances. Is there any action step that the Zaya in your current set of circumstances might be able to take, coming from that energy, knowing that the woman in your vision's got it all worked out?
What's dropping in is believing in myself.
And what would that look like?
Continuing this work, continuing journaling, and manifesting every day.
Okay. So open your eyes whenever you're ready. So I heard you say believing in yourself and continuing the work and continuing journaling.
Yeah.
So is there an affirmation that you can work with now as you're journaling and as you're doing the work, like you just said, that can really support you in that increased believing in yourself?
What drops in is I am the woman in my vision.
How does that feel?
Good.
Do you feel expansive when you say that?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Awesome. So by when will you work with this affirmation and the believing, like you said? Obviously you're continuing to stay in the work, but by when will you start to like use your affirmation and the believing?
Right now.
Okay. So let's bring a little bit more specificity, because this is awesome. And I love I love the affirmation, and I love what you said, like believing in ourselves. And I think for most of us, that could be sometimes a challenge based on whatever is going on in our external world. So is this something, if we could kind of bring this in for more specificity, do you want to practice this a certain number of times a day, or just working with this affirmation? What do you think?
I think it will start with my morning meditation and journaling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So in the morning, you'll work with the affirmation.
Yeah.
Okay. Is the morning good, or you want to do any more than that? You're the highest authority, so you tell me.
I think morning and night, because I think it's so powerful what you put in your mind before you go to sleep.
Mm-hmm. You can tell you've been in this work with me for a while.
I don't watch horror movies anymore.
Good for you. Well, I mean, if you can let that go out of your subconscious mind, that's great. Yeah. But okay. So awesome. All right, Zaya. So your action step is to work with that affirmation rather in your morning meditation and at night.
Yes.
Love it. I am the woman in my vision, and that's what you're going to be repeating.
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. So is there anything else right now that you feel like you could use some support with? We could close this out right now, but I wanted to just check in to see if there's anything else that, I can support you in, or if there's anything you want to claim for yourself in this moment before we end.
I am going back to the gym on Monday, and we're doing 2 weeks of strict programming before our next TV filming.
Nice. Okay. So Monday it is.
Yes.
All right. And so what is the strict
eating
program? What's that?
Strict eating, no more junk. Gym every day.
Okay. So gym every day. And that I'm going to ask you, when you say no more junk, what does that mean you will be eating?
Salads, healthy foods, including proper dinners and snacks, and not just snacking on crisps.
Okay.
Or chips, as you guys call them.
Thanks for the translation. Okay. So I'm hearing you: proteins, vegetables. Okay. Nourishing foods for your body.
Yeah.
And going to the gym daily.
Yeah.
And with that, I know you also have like a yoga practice. So will some of that just be for stretching and things like that? Okay.
For sure.
Okay. Good. Awesome. So that's clear.
Yes.
All right, Zaya. So I see you over the next few days, because I think our next call is on Tuesday. So it's not too far away. I see you working with your meditation. You are the woman in your vision. And as of Monday, making sure that you have a routine for your proper nutrition and your gym workouts. Awesome. All right. Well, let's bring that in for a landing then. This is where we would most likely just pause and end. So I don't know if Miriam, you want to come on back?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Erika. Thank you, Zaya. Erika, I wanted to give you an opportunity in a few minutes to maybe do a little bit of explanation of what happened for the last 30 minutes to get started.
Sure. So at the top of all of the coaching calls that I do with my clients, we start to work with generating an energetic state. And the whole purpose of that is we want to become fluent in our ability to calibrate our energy. And we do that through our thinking, but oftentimes, I won't go into the whole, like how our feelings are kind of formed, but one of the ways that we can tell what kind of a feeling energy we're in is just by checking in. Am I anxious? Am I tense? So at the top of all of my coaching calls, I invite the client, and I do this as well, to generate that energetic state by breathing. And there's a specific way, like in through the nose, out through the mouth, like you're blowing through a straw. And usually we'll do that no less than 3 times. And even if you've practiced it right now, or if you practiced it when Zaya and I went through it, when you get to the 3rd, you can actually feel your body relaxing, even if you didn't even realize that you were in a little bit more of a heightened state. So another reason for that is because when the clients get more practiced at generating a state, they can use that wherever they go. So a lot of times people will do it before a performance or before a match or a game, or, this is something that I use with my marathons too, to just really like call in the energy that you want to hold, the calm energy. And the reason why we tune to gratitude and success is, first of all, as elite athletes and people who are used to creating results, I think it can be kind of seductive to start to look at what's missing, what isn't here, what's wrong. And by means of looking at the successes, even if it's like, I drank an extra glass of water today, the whole goal is that we start to generate a momentum around looking for the little successes. And that actually helps to inform like how you're thinking about yourself. Like, I create success. I am a success creator. And so it really helps to not only improve confidence, but also in working with the self-concept about, I take action, and I set goals, and I take action on them. And so it kind of bridges the gap. The gratitude is always really just a generative energy. When you can feel grateful, it feels expansive, it feels open, and it is on the same frequency as creativity and ideas. And so when we're working, this is one of the reasons why I love coaching and I transitioned away from therapy, is because in therapy, it's really easy to get really curious. And I think there's a place and a time for therapy. So I'm not saying that that's not useful, but it's very easy to just get really focused on the problem. And when you're focused on the problem, you start to feel like constricted and contracted. And then the energy around the ideas and solutions, it can be much more difficult to access. So for coaching purposes, because all of my coaching clients know we're not doing therapy, this is coaching. We know we're tuning into the solutions, we're tuning into action steps, we're tuning into what I can do from where I am with what I have. And so those two energies, gratitude and success, are super important to kind of set the stage for a coaching call. And then also for the purposes of the client getting really practiced at generating their own energetic state at will.
Erika, it's really interesting to hear this focus on a little action, moving forward, not necessarily kind of drilling into the problems. I think that's really interesting. It just shows that flow and movement forward. So I appreciate that you explained that. That's how you also start the session and keep that energy going. You girls mentioned the 2 B's. Can you explain a little bit more?
Yeah, so this is something else that all of my clients are very aware of. I encourage every single one of them, and I do this myself in the morning practice, to tune into the vision, because I have a vision for my life just as each of my clients do, and I live from this work, and that's really important to me, to live from the work that I teach. Just connecting to that vision that I would love for my life, and then asking, like, what is the woman in my vision? How is she going about her day? And then coming up with, because obviously we all have to-do lists. We don't need support with more to-dos, but really, like, how do I want to be? Who do I want to be today? So I think Zaya said in service or inspirational, like, these are things that are not only a vibrational match to her vision. This is how she is in her vision. She's able to do it now. And that really helps to bridge the gap, because I think if we're just looking at circumstances and results versus who we're being on the way, or who we're being in the now, we always have the opportunity to choose how we're going to be. Granted, we can't choose every single circumstance, but we absolutely can choose our response to them. And I think having that to be, and I also invite my clients only to do like 2 or 3 at most, so that you can keep them fresh in your mind for the day, kind of come back to them throughout the day. Like, am I being compassionate? Am I being loving? That's just an example of some to be's. But that's a really awesome practice, because you can also see, like, I can be the person in my vision right now. I don't need for my world to change before I get to be happy, or before I get to be grateful. And so I think it's a really important, it's an energy shift, but it's also empowering, because you're setting the tone for your day.
And I feel that it's also a way to manifest with some objectives related to yourself, how you're going to achieve your goal. I think that's really interesting. So you talked a lot about vision, and obviously Zaya talked about her vision. And I think this is a big piece of the work that you do. Can you explain at what point does the vision come into your coaching work? And well, that would be the first question, and then I'll have a follow-up one.
Okay. Well, the vision comes in a very first exploration call. And I know, Miriam, we did this together just to kind of give you a little insight, or, to give you a little insight into kind of the way I work. But it's powerful to access. I really think it's a soul part of each one of us, in terms of asking the question, what would I really love for my life? Not what do I think is possible, that's a very different energy than what would I really love. And I feel like our souls and spirit speaks to us in love. So when we're asking, what would I really love? That's of life, like it's life's desire for us. So when we can get crystal clear on that, and then also each of my clients, and I do this in my webinars as well, we focus on 4 quadrants of life, so that it's a full spectrum. It's not just the vocation, because like clearly Zaya is still professional athlete, and some of my clients have retired from professional sports. And so having the crystal clear vision of what kind of health you would love. I'm bounding out of bed with energy, and I feel well rested, and, designing that. And then relationships, the kind of relationships that you would love in your life. Perhaps it's an even greater connection with a spouse, or perhaps it's calling in the love of your life. People are on a whole bunch of different spectrums with that. Sometimes there's a relationship vision that has to do with their kids and increasing the relationships with the kids. And then also the vocation, obviously, that speaks to how you're trading your time and your talent. And then time and money freedom. So that's kind of the freedom quadrant and what it is that you would love. So for the purposes of, this isn't just for collecting material things or only being able to work 2 days a week. It's for the purposes of you showing up as the highest and the best version of yourself. I think we all know when we're overworked, we're not showing up as the highest and the best, especially in our personal lives. And so really just accessing that, in order to be who you're meant to be, in order to do what you're meant to do, in order to give what you're meant to give, in order to serve the way you're meant to serve. That's really a powerful component of the freedom quadrant. So we work with all 4 quadrants, and then the client designs the vision. And it's not unusual for people to have a hard time with that initially. And so there's a whole process that we take to get more clarity and all that kind of stuff.
That was going to be my follow-up question, because obviously Zaya had a pretty straight and clear answer to the vision question, but I would imagine that when you seek to work with a coach, generally you're a little bit confused and not as clear with what you want, and that takes quite some process to kind of figure out what you're really looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think just coming back to that question, what would you love? And sometimes it's easier, like let's say the vocation quadrant is kind of up in the air. If you're at the end of your sport and you haven't really visioned beyond that, we'll start with something that's more clear, like health. Everybody wants great health. Okay, what does that look like? And so you start with something that's easier to come by, and then you kind of build on that. So, okay, health, and okay, let's talk now about relationships, and then move around so that you're kind of using the what would I love question. You're seeing what drops in for you, and kind of exercising that muscle, so to speak. And then we can start to look at the other quadrants that may not be as clear. And then one of the other things about that, Miriam, that I think is really important is, even if someone's not quite sure what path they want to go down, if we access the energy, like how do you want to feel in your next profession, or how do you want to feel in the job that you're going to be in, or that's where we would start with that. How do you want to feel? And then we kind of reverse engineer what it actually looks like. And that really is really helpful in generating ideas for people.
Okay. Zaya, can I turn to you for a little bit and ask you, you've been working with Erika. I'd like to know, what do you like about this work and the coaching that you've been doing with Erika?
So I like that, obviously a lot of us are raised in the aspect of you can't have a plan B. So you can't have a secondary thing that you're focusing your mind on, because otherwise you're not focusing on plan A. And with this work, it goes to show that you can actually do both alongside each other and still reach all of your goals, if not sooner. So that's one of the first things that I like. But also it's like, we have our coaching calls every week. So they're every Tuesday. And during that week, I can have bad days or bad moments or whatever, life comes at me sometimes, but I have my coaching call. I always have my coaching call to look forward to, and I can hit reset and I can refocus my mind on my vision and refocus my energy and know where I want to go again.
Wow, that's great. And can you give us maybe example of how this has impacted you? Are there things that have changed in your life that you can really recognize already?
Yeah, so I got contracted to the biggest wrestling company in the world when I was 19. So I'd only been wrestling for 3 years. And then I met Erika right as lockdown hit the UK. So I was 21 at the time, and I'd never written a vision before. I knew that I wanted to be a professional wrestler. I knew I wanted to get signed, but after that, I was like, well, that's it. I've reached it. I don't know where I'm going next, but I'm here now. And it gives me the opportunity to go like further into where I am. So what do I want to actually succeed in this company? Where do I want to go? What do I want to do with myself? Like, who do I want to inspire? And then what do I want to do after this? So it gave me the opportunity to do that as well.
Well, the other thing, Zaya also manifested a house.
Yes.
So she bought a house.
So during lockdown, obviously lockdown's against you. I'm self-employed professional wrestler and I'm 21 years old at the time. So I'm young. I have not a stable income as the government would say because you're self-employed. And also things are just crazy in the world. And I bought a house during lockdown.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's really nice to hear your perspective, Zaya, because I think it seems that it's been a great way for you to reassess where you were at. You had reached one goal, but doesn't mean that you cannot improve in the next phase. So I thought that was really interesting. Erika, can you explain now more from an organizational perspective, how does your coaching program works? How does it start? How does someone work with you from the beginning? And, you know, is it ongoing forever? Does it stop? Can you give us a little bit more information about the format?
Yeah, so I'm certified by the Brave Thinking Institute, which is founded by Mary Morrissey, who's one of the leading transformational leaders. She's been studying this work for 50 years, and she's the one who codified all of like the art and science that I'm working with to transformation. So when we're working with the vision and getting crystal clear, I know a lot of other people, you know, work with this, but the 4 quadrants, that's from Mary, and the what would I love, that's from Mary. So there's a curriculum that we're actually kind of using as a backbone to our work together. That is, I mean, it depends on what kind of program you're in with me, but there's like a basics, which is like a dream builder program, which is 12 weeks. And that is pretty much the basics of transformation and a lot about kind of crafting the vision, starting to work with the vision, and then becoming and building the vision, and like living into the vision. And then there are other programs like I alluded to with Zaya. We study the mental faculties of the mind, where you get more information about our mental faculties and how to hone the mental faculties that we all have, that perhaps we all know are our 5 senses, but we're not as practiced at the use of our mental faculties, like imagination, and intuition, will, perception, reason, and memory. And then there's also a study of, there's like a life mastery study where we look at there's 6 different life mastery domains, and we spend 1 month on each of those. So all of it is for the purposes of the person, the client, living into the vision that they've created. And like Zaya was saying, like because the vision is always constantly evolving and growing as we constantly evolve and grow. And so oftentimes we will manifest everything. We will become the person in our vision, but then because life isn't done with us yet, we'll notice there's more seeking to emerge through us. And I think the perfect example of this was like when I was a therapist in my private practice, I was like, I've arrived, I'm living my dream. And then now I'm not even doing that anymore. Like it's totally evolved to coaching. So I've been able to see how this works in my own life. And so I just think it's so powerful to support clients in this way. So one of the first things we do is we have a vision breakthrough session, where that's just kind of a one-on-one conversation where I kind of support the person in really tuning in to what they're longing for, what they're discontent with in their life, and what they would want to create. And then if it looks like we're a good fit to work together, then we start to talk about what next steps would be in terms of coaching support. And that varies in the different programs that I described.
It's really, really interesting to hear the breakdown of the program, the ability to do shorter time maybe for some that want, or even longer for those who want to go more in depth. And you can really break down a lot of things over time. And as you know, I mean, it takes so much time to just go through the vision and really understand what that is for you. We do have a question before our closing, what courses would you recommend to become a coach? Alicia is saying, I was an elite squash player, national coach, and USOPC employee for 20 years. I would like to become a coach. Thank you.
Yeah, so that's a daunting question, and I will tell you, because I know for 3 years I was like swimming around wondering what program I should join. And so I would just say there's a lot of really awesome ones out there. I gravitated to the Brave Thinking Institute because it has a spiritual component to it. And the spiritual for me and how I kind of see my life, and I know this isn't a one size fits all for everybody, but just really seeing that like the vision, the desires of my heart are from spirit and living into that. So not only am I human, but there's a spiritual side to my nature, and really seeing the bridge between the two of those. I felt like that was the thing that resonated most with me in terms of how to really achieve transformation. Because to be really honest, I got a little frustrated after a number of years as a therapist with, clients having the same issue resurface. And that's not to say this will never happen. I mean, we have subconscious belief systems that, take a while to repattern. But that was one thing. I wanted to support people in transformation, not just incremental shifts, and not just like moving from problem to problem and like kind of putting band-aids on things. And I'm not saying, I also want to be clear, I'm not saying that any other coaching program promotes that at all. I'm just saying the Brave Thinking Institute was what really, really resonated with my heart. And so my suggestion would be is, do some research, see what resonates. I mean, the minute I heard Mary talk, I'm like, yep, this is where I'm meant to be. And so it's totally, you're the highest authority on what's the best approach.
And I like to also look at the International Coaching Federation. They have a lot of program listed for coaches. And I do think that it's kind of good to be able to have something that's accredited. Yeah. So it's recognized in the US, but also around the world. So that would be somewhere where I would search as well. They have
Definitely.
A lot of different programs. Erika, as we conclude before our next session, can you tell us where we can find you? We will share that via email afterward as well, but just briefly, if people want to contact you directly.
Sure. Yeah, you can send me an email, and this is kind of a mouthful, Erika, Erika, at maximumachievementcoaching.com. But I'm also on Instagram at Erika Fay, just one word. It's just at ErikaFay. That's a really great place to get in contact with me. I'm on Twitter, Erika_LMFT, Facebook, Maximum Achievement Coaching. So kind of all over the place. But yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any questions.
Perfect. And we will definitely share all this information with all the participants at the end of the event. Zaya, I wanted to thank you for being able to come and sharing so candidly about a little bit of your life and your vision and where you're at. That was really good. Thank you so much. Erika, thank you as well. We're going to take a few minutes off. We'll be back at 9 o'clock Pacific with a different coaching session. This one will be with Dominic Militello, a career coach for athletes, and a Team USA fencer, Andrew. So we're going to turn off the video for a little bit, and we'll be back in 7 minutes. Thank you, Erika. Thank you,
Awesome.
Zaya.
Thank you.
Have a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Thank you.